Love it or hate it, proper planning for your app is going to make or break this whole experience for you. So, when I talk about that, I don't only mean the design aspect of designing and laying out the application that you want to build, but also the user flow. The if it's two-sided, if there's two different user types, like a business owner and an actual client, what are the user flows for each? Are you going to have an admin portal? These are all the types of things that you need to know before you dive into a project. Now, they can evolve over time, so you don't want to sit there and spend a whole bunch of time trying to come up with every little detail to your application. Number one, that's going to take way too much time, and it's going to feel overwhelming when you actually get into the code. And number two, you don't know what the users are going to want long term. So starting off very small with your project and building it out as you actually produce it and get users going, that's the best approach. So if you've been following along in the series, we are building a B2B SaaS application, a real application that I'm really going to launch, that I'm really going to try and get clients for right here on the channel. So what is our B2B product? Now, the last video we were kind of coming up with some ideas, and we were talking about personal chefs, and we were talking about car detailing. Well, I didn't go with any of those. I actually just I had a past client that I built a website for, right? And it was in a niche that I knew nothing about, but I'm seeing this niche grow faster and faster. And then after doing some research on the other ones, going through and seeing what type of software competition is out there, and the demand for it, I kind of felt like it would be kind of a hard market to break into with a very basic app. So I went back to the drawing board, and this is what I came up with. So here we go, drum roll please. Luxury mobile restroom services. So these are those trailers that actually have porta potties and full toilets and sinks with running water, air conditioning, music, very luxury, very fancy, high-end porta potties essentially, right? Usually this is like a 20 to sometimes 40-foot trailer that I don't know about 40 foot, maybe 32 foot is maybe the biggest one that I've seen. But they're full suite restrooms, right? So I have a buddy who actually runs one of these businesses. So I thought, you know what, this would be perfect. I can ask him questions, and we can kind of build this, and he could be the first use case. So it's a growing business. Actually, my neighbor right down the street just purchased one of these trailers, so he started his own business doing the same thing. So I actually know two people now that I can reach out to. And there's little to no software that's serving this industry. Again, I think it's very new in catching on. I want to say it probably just really caught on like during or after COVID. That's really when I started to notice these things and going to events that actually had these porta potty trailers or luxury mobile restrooms. And again, I had previous experience, and I know a couple people that actually run these businesses, so that's going to be great for us. So we had to come up with a name, and I love using Claude, so I went to Claude, asked some questions about, I'm trying to come up with a name for a mobile restroom software that allows for booking services and this and that, and came up with a couple names. Then I went to ChatGPT because they just released the 01 preview, so I wanted to test that out. And neither of them really gave me viable names because none of the domain names were taken. So when I look at names that I'm going to name something, when I start branding, right, when I start going through the branding process, I want to make sure I can get the .com. If it's more tech related, I'll do a .io or something like that, or .ai, or even .app if it's like a mobile application. But I wanted the .com for this. So what I came up with was Lux Reserve Pro. So it's luxury. They're reserving these luxury toilets, and Pro because luxreserve.com was taken, so I threw a Pro at the end, and bam, there we go. So so now we know what we're going after. We have the name so that we can start the branding. Okay, so I did get started with the branding, and I did get started with developing the actual application, what it's going to look like. So let's jump over to that real quick. And here is the branding. Very simple. I didn't want to go and hire a designer or anything to give me a professional looking logo. I think this looks professional enough for what we're trying to do. It's luxury, it's high end, so the gold and the black really plays good with the light gray. And then explains right underneath a little tagline, luxury restroom booking software. So they know what we do, Lux Reserve Pro. So that's going to be the branding that we go for. That's the name. And so we're going to have, excuse me, we're going to have a couple portals, right? So there's an admin portal. So that's going to be for me as the owner of this application. I want to have an oversight of my application, so I'm going to build an admin portal. We're also going to have a business portal. So this is going to be for the business owner who jumps onto our software, who wants to actually use our software for the booking services and stuff, and they'll be able to white label it. Well, this is the idea right now. They're going to be able to white label it with their branding and everything, so they can use that for their site. And then a client portal, obviously. Now, do we need to do a client portal? No, but coming from marketing, I see a really good value in providing somebody with something that they can log into and check, right? So if I'm making a reservation, like, sure, I'll get an email, but then I get 1,500 emails before the next time I need to check what my reservation information was, right? If I knew I was renting from those guys, so I want to go and I want to log in and see what's going on. So that's why the client portal is something that we're actually going to build, because I think it brings good value, and it's a good selling point too, right? So I have not started on the admin portal, and I have not started on the business portal, but I did start with the customer portal. So this is what I have mocked up so far. So let's go through the quoting. So I kind of went through and kind of guessed what we needed for quoting. Since we're going to be creating a client portal, so a portal for these guys to go in after they've made their booking, we're going to need to collect some information to create that account. We're going to be using Clerk, so this will be hooked up to Clerk as well. So name, email address. This is not where they sign into Clerk, by the way. We're just multi-step form right now. And then notice how nothing's really branded, so we'll be able to iframe that into their website or have a unique URL that they can go to where it's going to be unbranded, or we can just actually just like slap a logo at the top or something for the business owner. The next is going to be event type. What type of event is it? Birthday party, outdoor wedding, corporate event, like a marathon or some type of event like that. So we'll come up with a bunch of event types, and then the expected number of guests. Now this is important because the business owner is going to need to know what size trailer they're going to be able to accommodate, right? So say if someone has a 4-stall trailer and there's going to be over 300 people at this wedding or this event, maybe that 4-stall trailer is not going to be sufficient for that type of event. So then the company can say, hey, look, we don't, or they can eliminate this option and only supply, up to 100 people or up to 200 people, whatever the rule is for that. So now that we got the name, the email address, we've got the event type, we've got the number of guests, the next thing is we're going to need to know the schedule, right? So the way I envision this is they're going to enter an event date, the start time and the end time of that event, and then the location of that event, and maybe adding like a little button here where we'll use a Google API, Google Maps API, to be able to pull the current location of the device that's actually booking this. And then the next one is going to be additional requirements, anything that they might need to let the business know, and then also water supply. So this is important because of the running water situation thing. A lot of these units are self-contained, so they have only so much water, and they have a reservoir that holds all of that gray water and wastewater, right? So that is something that is going to be good for the business owner to ask. And then a nice little confirmation, and then the view quote will take them to the dashboard. So in the dashboard, let me make myself small, I don't know why I'm so big. In the dashboard, they'll be able to track their events that they've, their quotes and the events and all that, their receipts, things like that. Especially a lot of these guys do corporate events. They have return customers. So for those business corporate type users, a good way of being able to go and download their receipts and their past activities and things like that is good for business tracking expenses and purposes. So if we look over here, we've got a branding. I kind of envision we can have, this would be the default, right? And then allow them to actually do some type of white labeling to where they can just swap out the logo for their logo. This start new quote would take them back into that quoting process. That would then, once it's completed, would fall into here. We have dashboard, which is what we're currently on, and then events. So if they click on the events, this is kind of, and again, most people will wireframe. You don't have to do this. I like to design, and it's kind of what gets my juices flowing and kind of gives me my ideas. So I kind of just do a rough design like this. So on the my events, so you'll see how many events they've completed, how many are pending, and then obviously we want to sort by date, so that we can, and then pending will always be on top, and so they can see all the past events, start and end times, the amounts that they paid, order numbers, all that good stuff. If they click into it, then we'd have the event details, so tracking where they are in the process, the event information, billing information, event type, and then obviously a receipt where they can download their invoice. So we'll connect with Stripe so that they can do invoicing and payments right here on the application. And then I thought what would be pretty cool is having a built-in chat feature. Since we will be using Convex, and that's real time, and it has that open WebSocket setup. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically means real time back and forth. I type something, you instantly get that response once I hit send. So just like a text message or anything like that. So a little support button down here, and then what we can do is have all the different conversations. These conversations can be the, if we look at this, we have contacts. So for those events, so I envision the business being able to assign a contact individual within that business for those clients. Maybe it's a large company. I'm thinking like if we get a nationwide company, they'll have certain people in certain areas. So when a quote comes through, maybe it's through a main centralized website, a quote comes through, this quote is coming out of California, the California rep in that area is this person, boom, you auto assign to those people and things like that. So I'm just kind of thinking in advance or thinking ahead. So we'll be able to have different chat supports going on per order, right? So this will be a chat per order, so they can see all the different activity that's happened with that order, and then we'll have a back and forth chat right there as well. And then, got to have a settings page, and then a spot for them to add addresses so they can quickly add that. A spot for payments, being able to download all their invoices, and then a notifications to where they can control in-app notifications, push notifications basically, SMS, email, if they want to subscribe to any kind of special newsletters, things like that, and then also activity notifications. So that is the design. Now what I want to do is go into this real quick. So I used O1 Preview, and this is kind of how I broke this down. I want to build a booking application and a CRM for a mobile luxury restroom company. For mobile luxury restroom companies, I want to use Next 14 with App Router Directive, and then how I want to install it. Tailwind. If you don't know what any of this means, don't worry about it. I'll explain it. Shatsian. That's going to be our components for our buttons, forms, things like that. Convex is going to be for our backend. Clerk for our authentication. Stripe for our payments. The owner should be able to have a dashboard, calendar, simple contact system. The client should be able to request bookings. Once they do that, it'll create an account where they'll be able to manage their requests and receive their quote and pay their invoices. Start by giving me a full application overview, no code yet. So basically what I'm telling it to, like, hey, here's my idea, right? Really simple. And one big giant run-on sentence, basically. And then give me an overview of what an application like this would, based on the technologies that I want. And if you don't know what technologies you want to use, you can leave it open-ended and it will suggest something, or you can type in suggest a tech stack for this type of product based on your knowledge. So then it goes down and says, okay, look, we're going to have owners and clients. Here's all the technology. That's what I listed. And then, for the owners, you're going to have a dashboard, a calendar, a contact management system, a booking management system. And then for the client, you're going to have booking requests, account creation, booking management, and notifications. Then the client flow, it gave me a client flow, browsing services, submitting, and then it kind of went on a little bit more on the back end, some security stuff, some third parties, some challenges, some thoughts. I said, okay, we will be using Convex HTTPS or HTTP to manage the APIs, and then I gave it some documentation on that because I know what I want to use for that, and it was saying something about using Next.js API endpoints. So then it basically gave me the update to that. And let's go to the next one. Did I miss it? Okay, here we go. I said, now give me a full updated, okay, so and then it basically gave me the updated version with the new Convex directive that I told it with the HTTP. And so if we keep going down, here we go. So then I kind of read through all that stuff and I was like, okay, I need, actually let me make sure, I thought I had one more prompt in here. And you can see my prompts are very simple. It's nothing crazy. Okay, no, so that was it. All right. So there we go. And then I said, now I need a complete client flow. For example, client lands on this, clicks on the button. Basically that flow that we looked at, right? I listed it all out here based on the information that I received and what I had built for that client previously. And so then it goes through and it kind of gives me all the different information I'd need for that to set that flow up. And post-event follow, then it recommends some stuff like post-event follow-ups, event day support, things like that. So that kind of gave me some ideas for the communications, the support tab that I showed you guys earlier. And then I'll scroll down some more. Now I need a flow for the business owner. We need to start with the business owner signing up for our application, creating his business profile, and then the flow he takes for the quote request. So I'm going to then take this information that I see here, and I'm going to build out like what I built for the client flow, right? So I'm going to go into Figma and I'm going to design that out. And then I also said, I updated some more here. I said we will be using Clerk's Organizations to manage the multi-tenant aspect of our application. Basically, Clerk gives you the ability to do what they call organizations, and within an organization you can have members, right? So if you're looking at it like a SaaS application, most SaaS applications, when you sign up, you can invite people to it, right? So with Clerk, if you set up the organizations, you can then allow that organization to invite people. Also, by default, it allows them to create multiple organizations. So I also said here, our Clerk setting will only allow for the creation of one organization and will not use the personal accounts. So when you're using Clerk and you sign up and you're using an organization, when you first sign up, you have a personal account, and that's kind of like your user profile. And then you can create an organization, right? And so as long as you're assigned to an organization, our app will allow you, will go based on that organization, saying, hey, you're not a member of this organization, so you're not allowed to view the content on this website. So basically that's all I'm telling you. Then I gave it the link. So then it kind of goes through and it updates all the different things about that process for us. And again, this is just for getting ideas of how I'm going to design the app. So if we scroll down a little bit more here, say, okay, now we need a plan for an admin portal. So I didn't mention this before, and I'm just now throwing this in there. I want an admin portal to be able to manage the organizations, the organizations that sign up for our system, view revenue, etc. Keep it simple, but we need to be able to create and remove organizations from the admin portal. We should be able to see all quotes and users under the organizations as well. Okay, now the reason why I want an admin portal, usually when I build applications, I build the main application first, right? The business and the client side. Okay, and then what I ended up doing is I end up building an admin portal afterwards, right? And so where that's fine, that's perfect. Most cases, most people do it that way. But I find that if you build an admin portal first, and then you kind of tell that admin portal how these things are going to be created, like the different accounts and what they can do within that account, you can start setting those roles and permissions as well throughout the whole application without having to do it later. And adding all that stuff later tends to cause some problems, because you have you want to add roles and permissions. Now you got to update your schemas. Now you got to update your logic. It could break some stuff. You might have to start forcing some more information into the database. And if you've gone into production, then that's a friggin' nightmare. So if you can do it all within the development environment, it's fine. But if you start with an admin portal and say, okay, I'm in an admin portal, I want to create a business now. Boom, you create a business. Okay, I've created a business. Now, and within that business, I want to create a client, or I want to create a member, right? Then you kind of start to visualize the whole flow from top down on your whole application, and it makes it so much easier to understand what your application is doing. Because remember, we're going to have AI build and code most of all the stuff that we're talking about here, but you're still the pilot, right? You're still, planes have come a long way, right? You're not having to, move a bunch of stuff. Cars have come a long way, right? We're not driving manual transmissions anymore, unless you're lucky. I miss my manuals, but everything's automatic. I don't even have to put my hands on the wheel. The car is driving for us now, right? So that's the kind of where coding is going, right? Where Tesla's trying to have the self-automated driving cars and all that good stuff, but we're not there yet, because it's not perfect yet, right? So it's the same thing with the AI, right? It can guide us and it can get us going in the right direction, but sometimes it might veer to the left or the right, or it might break for some reason, that's kind of where we're at with AI. So you got to remember, you are the pilot, so you've got to understand how to control it, but you don't have to understand how everything is working, down to the nitty-gritty of things. But having a high level understanding of how everything is working is very important still. Okay. So now it's let's move on. Goes into how we're gonna do that, And so keep going down. I think I've had a few more prompts. Here we go. Can you create a flow diagram for the application? So basically, I was trying to see if it would do what Claude does, and Claude would actually give me, it uses like a program called Mermaid or something like that, and it will actually give you kind of almost like a mind map of the application. This actually pretty much sucks, but I mean it did what I asked it to do. So there you go. That's that. And if I did save all of this stuff, so if you guys want access to this, I'm going to start a community so that I can share resources a lot easier than like, here, go to this link and blah, blah, blah. You know, like I want to have a centralized location for everybody to have all this information. So there should be a link in the description. If not, you can always check the main links in the profile. But that's it for now. We've pretty much designed everything. And in that community as well, like I was talking about, I'll add more content, I'll add more videos, and I'll add more documents and things like this so that you can get access to this. So like the repos, the Figma designs, things like that. I'll give you guys access to that within the side of the community too. So another, little lead magnet there for me, right? So if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this, if you want to see more, like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. And you can find me on X as well. I've been trying to do that a little bit more. So yeah, see you on the next one.